Good evening. We are picking up where we left off on Monday. Also, Jigstraw, congratulations on the watch streak, and Zurian, thank you so much for the sub streak. Yeah, we are picking up roughly where we left off last time. And by roughly, I mean exactly. I remember that the main thing I was interested in was getting this so that I could do wind stance. Looks like I need 2 snake scales and a bunch of old paper. As well as some money, but I'll probably get that in the way. We can also carve Buddhas. Also, I found out why, when you're maintaining your sword, you put a piece of paper in your mouth. Buddha carving consumes 1 wood carving material to carve a statue of the Buddha. You'll gain experience based on how well you carve the statue. After selecting the carving style, press the buttons at the bottom of the screen in order from left to right. The more times the sequence is correctly entered within the time limit, the higher the quality of the resulting statue and the more experience you will receive. Each style will produce a different statue. Also, by fulfilling different conditions, new styles will become available, allowing you to sculpt special statues. When you fulfill a set of conditions, give it a try. Okay, so I've actually set this back to PS4 mode, because I figured out how to make my controller look like a PS4, which is how I got the input tracker back. So the glyphs aren't going to be one-to-one, so I might have some difficulty with that. Let's see where... Never mind, nailed it. Masterpiece Bishamon statue. Oh, those two are hanging out with one another. Find a lead on assassin. Hey, Iori. We seem to have a guest. It also occurs to me that, like, since I need, like, snake bones, fighting assassin who uses snakes for everything is probably going to be really convenient for that. You're one of Zeng's men? Yes, I've been sent to deliver this to you. Is this a support mystic code? Yes, the General discovered it while organizing the warehouse. He said that Lord Iori should have it when the real battle for Spirit Fonts begins. I'm happy to have it. Tell him that we appreciate his concern. Darting Dragon. 2 extra actions, alright. And 2 cups of Earth Hearts. Of course, please excuse me. Oh, this is also very well made. Put it to good use, Iori. Well, where shall we go today, Iori? How about Nihonbashi? It's close to Kanda and would make a perfect spirit font. It's one of Edo's most populated areas. I'm sure we could hear lots of rumors. Nice. Then let's be off. Hold your horses, you two. You never know when you'll get attacked by the enemy. When you're ready to go, connect to the ley line and then head for Nihonbashi. Good day to you, Lord Iori. That's the rogue servant. Let's see what she has to say, Iori. I love the giant fox. I beg your pardon, Lord Iori. Ryder? What do you want this time? Now, Lord Iori. Say it with me. Ah-ri-ah. Please try and remember. Right, I'm sorry. That's no good, Iori. You have to call her by name. Look who's talking. So what do you need, Arya? What do you need, is it? You are far too cold, Lord Iori. What I need is, starting today, I'll be living here. Excellent. We skipped a few steps, but I'm on board with this. Pardon? Eh? Love is best cultivated while living under one roof, no? Is it so strange that I would live with you, Lord Iori? This also means that I don't have to go to Ueno every single time. Yeah, it is strange. It's not happening. Working together is one thing, but living together is a different matter entirely. How so? I suppose Orihime and Igoboshi's love grew stronger because they could not meet, but their love grew much deeper during the brief time they spent together. Lord Iori, could it be that you don't love me in return? That isn't what I'm saying. But Arya, you're a rogue heroic spirit, right? Isn't it dangerous to be away from the land that you're tied to, from Leno, for too long? Yeah, if your magical energy supply is cut off, you won't be able to use your full power. Your concern is most gratifying. However, it's nothing to worry about. If you were to just give me magical energy, then I would be just fine. But that's enough, Rogue Rider. I believe you already mentioned this before, but falling in love with a world-class, good-for-nothing like him would only make you unhappy. Not what you want to say to Otamamo. She's got her mind made up. I'm saying that Iori doesn't have the magical energy to keep both you and I satisfied. I'm sorry that I'm such a good-for-nothing. Can I fire Saber and keep Rider? Oh my, is that so? I understand. If I were to cause you any harm, I would be a failure as a wife. Wife? Regrettably, I'll give up my dream of living together. I apologize for my selfishness. No, plug her to the ley line here. This is fine. No, I'm sorry too. I can help with other requests, but living together is just... You mean it? You listen to any other request? Yeah? Depends on what it is. Is there something else? I mentioned it before, no? It's about the thing that I've been searching for. Oh right. If I recall, you seek the most beautiful thing in this world. Yes, I've been searching ever since then, but I've yet to find anything. And so, as a resident of this era, you must judge for me, Lord Iori. To judge beauty, are you sure you want me? I don't have a particularly refined taste. If you choose it, I'm certain it'll be something quite beautiful. Ah, that's a tough one. I'll do my best, but don't get your hopes up. Something beautiful, eh? What on earth should I bring? What should we look for? Could you narrow it down to a mirror or jewels or something? Stealing Caster Talamo's mirror would be very funny. I know. Bring me a beautiful life. A life? I would like a vibrant, vivacious life that makes the heart dance with just a glance. I am sure it can be found in this town. I am looking forward to it ever so much. A beautiful life, huh? It's useless. I have no idea. Neither do I. We do know, however, that we can find it in this town. Let's try walking around from town for a bit. We might find something. It's literally right there. Huh? What's this? Gold amulet. Where could I have dropped it? Oh, that's... Oh, is it gonna be like a memento of like his life with his wife? That man looks troubled. What could have happened? You dropped your charm? Yeah, it's a memento of my father. I always keep it on me, but... Alright, I wasn't quite on the mark. Could this be it? I picked it up not far from here. That's it. Oh, thank you. I'm glad it's back with its rightful owner. Be careful not to lose it again. Yes, I think you're dead. Here, have some dried fish. Oh, dried fish. Nice. I'm just imagining we go to all this effort and like the end result is like chicken nuggets. And like that's what Arya wanted. I'm counting on you, you hear? This and this. See you next time. Yeah, nuggies. We could maybe talk to Gilgamesh. Well met, mongrel. Oh, that's cool. It says in the bottom right what I might need these things for. So I could buy 2 of these. But then I would still need the paper. A beautiful life, you say? Is it some kind of riddle? Old paper. I do need 7 more, and that's how many they got in stock. Alright, she knows nothing. Something beautiful. How about the cats around this area? Huh. Excuse me, you there, have you seen a calico cat around here? A calico? No, I haven't. I see, so your cat has disappeared? Yes, I haven't seen her since the night the stores were blown away. Turns and stares at Saber awkwardly. Think of the hydration. I've been so worried that she might have gotten hurt then. I don't know what to do. If it's about the stores that were blown away, let's take a look around. I haven't checked the back alleys yet, so she might be there. The fur on her back has a distinct pattern. You'll know it if you see it. Oh, also, just throwing it out there, I'm recovering from an illness, so if I sound slightly more, like, nasally than normal, that's why. Oh, kitty. Oh, is that the cat that we're looking for? The pattern on her back is just like the lady said. I guess she was right after all. Well then, time to head back. Not if the cat doesn't want to get picked up. That's going to be very difficult. And she ran away. What are you doing, Yori? What could be scaring her to us? I recently heard sounds coming from an abandoned house. Maybe I'm just tired? You know, Saber can turn intangible. Saber could probably get this cat on their own. Okay, we found her. Wait, you stand back, Yori. We can't have her running away again. Stop. Alright, got her. Great work. Way to go, This is a dog. You were holding your cat one time when she decided to jump out of your arms, you took a back claw right across the chest. Ow! Ah, that would hurt. What? How could this be? Huh? And now Yori's laughing at me? Ugh, how disgraceful. In that case, we can't afford to be picky. Yori, let's use that thing we just received. That would be the logical move. First we gotta pet the doggo. Yeah, I've actually got a scar on my wrist from a kitty. I used to have a kitty. She was very, very overweight. And so what would happen sometimes when she was like walking over a bed is she would like sink into it and her claws would get snagged and then she couldn't get herself free. And whenever that happened, I would like help pluck her out of it without like tearing the bed to shreds. But sometimes she'd be panicking. It's like she'd be like trying to pull herself free, and I'm just like I'm trying to like gently but firmly get her out. One time I did that just as she like tried to flail, and she slashed me really good across the wrist. So I've actually got a scar there now. I held zero animosity to her forward. I knew that she was just scared. You know, sometimes cats are just, not in the best mental state to be touched. Alright, there she is. You hungry? Here, have some yummy dried fish. Alright, that takes care of that. Thank you both so much. I'm just glad your cat is safe. I must find a way to thank you for all the trouble. Don't worry about it. We only did what was right. Still, I want to do something. Oh, that's right. I got something good. Take this with you. Fancy confeito. I don't actually know what a confeito is. Oh, are these candies? They look spiky. These are confeito. You can't accept such expensive. It's just a gift. Go on, don't be shy. Yeah, it's alright, isn't it, VR? Well, don't mind if I do then. Alright, time to get back to searching. Beautiful life, beautiful life. Yeah, I've learned what a confeito was from context clues, don't worry. Oh, kitty. A beautiful life? There's a beautiful girl right beside you now. Ha. Maybe? We're not sure. Why don't we just say all lives are beautiful? Do you think that'll work? Help me. Huh? A fight? This must be fate. Let's go, Iori. Hurry up and hand over the money. Stop right there. Huh? Don't get in our way. Big bro, save me. And he's dead. And so is he, for good measure. Ah, a monster? Well, that wasn't terribly difficult. Oh man, my goods are ruined. Why did this have to happen to me? At least you still have your life. There's no need to be so down. You can only say that because you don't know how much my goods were worth. I paid a lot of money for those Competo, and now all of them are covered in mud. Competo? We have some of that. Look. I beg you, let me have that. You can take everything else I have in exchange. You can't take everything. Why would you give us one thing in exchange? I mean, I'd take everything. I wonder what you've got. I'm fine with anything so long as it's delicious. Wait, this fish is... Gilded golden sea bream. Aha, you have a keen eye. A gold sea bream is not something to see every day. I suspect that Gilgamesh is gonna want this. I got it as thanks from a friend today. If that's what you want, you're welcome to it. It has such colorful gold scales, and its body seems vibrant and fresh. You think that this could work as the life that Ryder's looking for? I don't know, but I'm sure she'd be impressed with something this pretty. You won't know until we try. Okay, we'll trade the fish for the Competo. I don't know, it's gold. I feel like Gilgamesh would want it. Unfortunately, I don't know where Gilgamesh is. Here are ya. Oh my, how lovely. My heart has not danced with joy like this since the first time we met, Lord Iori. Is that so? I'm glad you like it. Nice work, Iori. I bet this is the first time anybody's ever complimented your aesthetic sense. But now I have an official endorsement. Call me the warrior of beauty from now on. Eh? With this, I should finally be able to... Arya? Yes? What is it, Lord Iori? No, it's nothing. Never mind. I get the feeling that prying any further would end very, very badly. Ahem. Now then, Ryder. Unfortunately, there's no place for you here. I think it's time you headed back to Ueno. Do not worry, Saber. I can sleep in a barn or even a stable. With this gift from Lord Iori by my side, I can be happy wherever I go. Oh yeah? I suppose it's fine then. We wouldn't be living in the same house, so... No, it's not fine. What about that sounds remotely fine? I should soon take my leave. I very much enjoyed our short tryst. Let's meet again sometime soon. That person just now? Who was that? You already have Saber, don't you? I told you, Kai. Saber and I aren't like that, and Arya is certainly not. But I heard something about a tryst. Have the urges of youth brought you to this? Like I said, I guess I'm gonna be overseen like this from now on. Saber just smugging at him. Sorry, just clearing my nose. Alright, connect to the ley line. I could just go to Gilgamesh's place and buy the snake stuff for Windstyle. I think I've just got just enough money for that if I want to do that. I kind of want to do that. Oh, Saber once again has good taste. Yuri, don't forget about the mystic code that Shin gave you. I'll use it if I get the chance. But first we need to connect to the ley line, right? Well, looks like I don't need to remind you anymore. I'll leave it to you. I want to go here. goodness that GPS is the thing in Edo era Japan. The boss seems to have a task for you. Alright. This will not suffice. What's wrong, sir? I'm lamenting the sorry state of my shop. Certain mongrels won't do their job, you see. I do trust they have not forgotten what I asked them to do. But of course not. Perish the thought. Silence. This is your final chance. Here are your orders. Bring forth a new radius to my Babylonia. Am I clear? And then we get release. Will we receive compensation? That goes without saying. You shall be showered with silver and gold. A king rewards his subjects. Assigning tasks without recompense would impugn his honor. Of course. I thank you for your kindness. Yes, in that case, there's no problem. None at all. Then be about it, saber and master. This time, bring me an incense burner, a first-rate item worthy of gracing my shop. Incense burner. Got it. An incense burner is, You don't know what it is? An incense burner is a vessel used to burn different fragrances. So where can we find one of these incense burners? I espied a mongrel carrying one, and quite carelessly, near here just yesterday. But my eyes cannot be deceived. It was not something fit for a mongrel to possess. So you are to locate that incense burner and bring it to me. Understood? Mush mongrels onward. I want 2 of these, please. Yeah, how dare the poor have nice things? They should just work. Where's home? I forget where home is. I think that might be it. Yeah, that's it. Right, wind style. A technique pairing a single sword with magecraft to unleash a wide range of attacks. Magical energy will recover more quickly through casting spells or dealing damage to monsters. Alright. Wind Stance is a spell-based single sword form that consumes magic energy to unleash various potent attacks. Magic energy recovers over time, but can also be restored by casting spells or dealing damage to monsters or servants. It's optimal against non-humans. Attacks in Wind Stance that use magical energy can also deplete shell gauges. I need to kill 20 things with Wind Stance and also have at least one more skill point. I want to pick a fight and try this out. Okay, that's cool. I like that. It's almost very rapier-like. Alright. I have much to learn of the way of 2 swords. Well, it's really more like the way of 1 sword and then a handful of magecraft, but whatever. Who's counting? Alright, let's find that incense burner. An incense burner? I did have one for a good while, but I just sold it. I'm fresh out. Who'd you sell it to? The pawn shop owner by the river. But he was wandering around, so I doubt he's there now. I've always found pawn shops to be really sketchy. Like, it's too easy to just steal something and then pawn it. A man who came to sell an incense burner? Yeah, I saw him. What about it? I'd like you to give it to us. It seems there's been a bit of a mix-up. Oh, a mix-up, huh? Then I'll sell it to you for this much. 1,000,000 gold, or 1,000,000 yen. What? That's a little steep for... If you can't pay, then leave. There are plenty of others who want it. Or, how about this? Clear the Ronin that moved into the woods nearby. I can't do business with them around. Alternately, Saber could stab you in the kidneys. Alternately, I could stab you in the kidneys. If all goes well, I'll sell this to you for what I bought it for. Not a bad deal, eh? As long as the answers by the means, we'll be back. That merchant sure does talk. Let's get this over with quickly. This is our road. If you want to get through, you'll have to pay. There they are. Let's go. Interesting. Okay, didn't have any magical energy, couldn't do anything. Definitely not the best stance for just dealing with crowds. Let's forget all about the fee. Just please spare me. Time to head back to the merchant. Hey, wait. Oh, it's you guys. You sure came back quick. I bet he was in link with them. I suppose. So where were you going? We took care of the Ronin. Were you planning to run without selling us the incense burner? Of course not. I was just thinking about bringing it to you. Here, take it. As thanks for your help, I'll let you have it for free. Alright. Bye then. Take good care of that incense burner. I bet you that's a fake one. Alright, we got it. Let's go see the boss. I bet we're gonna give it to Gilgamesh and he's gonna be like, you really fell for this? You laid eyes on this and thought that this was worth giving to me? Like, excuse me? This is, well... Sorry for the wait. We brought what you asked for. Sir, did you find this wooden statue somewhere? No, this was given to me by Mio as thanks for the candy. To think that she would give me a religious statue. Mio has a lot of nerve. Do the masses of this era truly pray to worthless trek like this? I mean, to be fair, Buddha is a servant and he's kind of really strong. Not as strong as Tamamo, but pretty strong. Humans continue to baffle me. But never mind that. Something this well constructed isn't bad. Not bad at all. The craftsmanship of this era's people are not to be underestimated, I suppose. I felt a chill just now. Miyamoto Iori, do you not carry something like this? No, not really. You don't? I always see you carving similar things. That's just something that I do to pass the time. Oh, you have an interest in carving then. Miyamoto Iori, I command you, carve a statue of me. But why would you ask somebody like me? What foolishness! There's obviously far more value in carving me than the Buddha. You have a chance to portray the unparalleled beauty of me, the king of heroes. Be grateful. Wasn't there a sugar sculpture of you? Surely that's more than enough. Unlike you two, I'm quite busy. I have no time to waste making this and that. I offer the greatest reward yet. Only one person is capable of this task. What say you? Fine, I'll do it. Excellent. When you complete it, I will put it on display to attract customers. You're putting it in the store? If I may, I'd advise against that. You can now sell Buddha statues of Apollonia. Alright. A wooden statue, eh? Come to think of it, my master also made carvings for fun. I've tried to imitate him before, but mine were never as good. I wonder if female master also carves statues. I should ask sometime. Here's your reward for a job well done. I'll be expecting more from you. Oh, 4 wood to carve statues with. Not bad, rather good actually. Oh, alright, decent cash. Not hard to make. I also keep forgetting that I don't actually have to come back home to, make to a ley line. What is this? The nearby miner spirit fonts are falling into enemy hands. Some groups are lying in wait too. Huh. This might be tough for one person, Iori. Oh, are ya? Let's stay on course for Nihonbashi. Saber, you handle them if they come from behind. Fine, but be careful. I can only take out one group at a time. That should be enough. Now, let's settle this quickly. Okay, so if I get 2 of those, I can get into here. This is shiny, so I presume that that's like a mystic code. How do I want to handle this? Because, like, the greedy part of me wants to go in a big circle like this and just get all of it. This is fine. I will have Saber intercept. I did think that I had one more turn. I clearly didn't. Still more of them. With this much magical energy pouring out of the spirit font, they must be coming from there. We can't let them continue bringing in reinforcements. We must strike now. There it is, Iori. The enemy's mystic code. We'll never regain the advantage like this. We do have our own mystic code, though. This is actually good, because I kind of needed 2 actions. Oh, this is alright. I want to go here, which will give me the entire left side of things. And then I go here, which doesn't actually cut this off the way I thought it would. Whoopsie. It's fine though, because I can still take this, and that'll get them both. This is fine. Oh, the monster disappeared. Nice going. Also, that didn't actually give me the entire left side like I thought it would. Enemies, huh? Let's proceed with caution. Need one more thing. This is fine. I'm still trying to get a handle on the moveset of Wind. I think 4 is that really cool, that thing, yes. My health is a little bit low. Alright. I also appreciate that I got more than just 3 pips of affinity now. And Saber saved my life. This is fine. Is it over? Gonna come down here. The enemy is invading, that's fine. Seems like a fierce foe. I'm not entirely sure why I don't have these for having these, and why I don't have these for having these. Oh well. Use this round on every side. It's kind of lame, but alright. Not sure how I ended up clashing, but I'm not complaining. That was kind of awesome, actually. More enemies. Oh. Giant Phantom Snake, 3 heads. I do appreciate the gigantic spirit bomb-sized fireball. Or wind fireball thing, rather. I definitely see the appeal of wind, but I kind of feel like earth probably still fits me better. Snake seems to be missing about 8 heads. I think it's probably like on its way to trying to be a snake like that, but it's not quite there yet. So I think about it, they grow more and more. I don't actually think so. I'm just kind of guessing. True. Maybe I'll like wind more when it can do more things. And it's dead. We won thanks to you. Alright. Look, the enemy's retreating. You bested a magic user, bravo! I couldn't have done it without you two. Now, let's get to the Nihon Bashi. The charged atmosphere here is so different from the others. And this place is called Ogashi? Don't be so noisy. I've heard the people here are quick to start fights. I got an Earth Arts. May you make a suggestion? Sure. Seized all the ley lines, have you? Nice, good work. I see you've mastered the Mystic Code. An ancient Western spellbook with a mind of its own, one of the items that Iori inherited from Musashi. After Musashi's passing, the book took on the role of magic teacher and self-proclaimed father figure. Okay, nothing new in there. I was kind of curious. Yeah, look at all these teeth, huh? We should have no problem thinking of some rumors. If we're lucky. Why be so negative? It doesn't help anything. Besides, servants are legendary heroes, not something you see every day. No one could forget seeing one. People would definitely be talking about it. That makes sense, but does that mean that there are rumors in Asakusa about Saber? Let's ask around. Wagashi is the best fish market in Edo. We supply most of the kitchens in the city. Let us dine in. Something's certainly caught the eye. Oh, sorry to keep you waiting, Iori. Yeah, Saber definitely has something going on with like ships or the ocean or something, especially with the water thing. That said, we're gonna take a 5-minute break here. Please use this time to refill your beverage, go to the bathroom, anything that would take you about 5 minutes. I will see you shortly. I return. There's a dead body down there on that dock. Another drunk fell in the river. Well, that explains that. Excuse me, I was hoping that you could help me with something. Huh. Rumors around town about a strange individual, huh? There is one person that comes to mind. Turns to look at Saber. Oh, really? What I heard is there's a fearsome debt collector terrorizing Asakusa. Oh? They say the brute will use any cold-hearted, merciless means necessary to get his money. He's supposedly a Ronin that uses 2 swords. Yeah, that's me. And he's such a dreadful yet attractive phantom after Laura was to shake them down. A dreadful yet attractive phantom? Yeah, that's you. That's quite the story. Have you heard any others? Others? I don't seem to recall. Oh, there was one. There was just something here in Nihonbashi. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. Where'd you see? A spiritual being? No, nothing like that. It was one of them foreigners. A foreigner? You mean... It refers to somebody who came from across the sea. Somebody like Lancer, for example. Huh. Yeah, I just saw some. They were sailors, one of those big ships they got. They're a scary bunch, just like they say, walking right down the middle of the street. Foreigners in Nihonbashi. I thought Jing was a rare sight, but now foreigners have come all the way here. You curious about them? You keep following this road and you'll see them. They were asking around about something. I bet you might catch them if you hurry. It's very important to pet cats. Excuse me, I heard there may be some people from other countries around here. Yeah, you mean those pushy sailors, right? They left already. They were asking about Yoshiwara, where it is, and how to get in and all that. Yoshiwara? They were so heavy-handed I sent them on their way without giving them an answer. They were pretty desperate. I guess foreign folk need companionship same as anybody else. Did the sailors leave for Yoshiwara? I'm not so sure. I wouldn't be surprised if they were still around here somewhere. They were walking towards Gojingara after I sent them off. What do you think, Yuri? Do you really think that these people came across the sea just to have fun in Yoshiwara? Maybe they simply do not care about being seen as they survey the enemy base. We might as well ask them directly. Let's go to Gojingara. Petting kitties is very important. Puppy, also very important. Oh, need the skill jewel I needed? I didn't need any skill jewels. For that wind passive, I didn't need any skill jewels for that. That appears to be an icon. You rotten bastard. You got a deathwish or something? What'd you say? You ain't gonna do nothing with that sword. You. Huh. What's going on here? We can't get through. Hey, it's just getting good. Don't go getting in the way now. Don't be a bore. Just enjoy the show until the authorities come around. That man looks like he's about to draw his sword. What terrible timing. We need to get through as soon as possible. Let's take care of this. I don't want things to get out of hand. While exploring the town, you may come across a quarrel. Both parties will be staring each other down, ready to start throwing punches. So try to put a stop to it. If your mediation is successful, the affinity gauge will fail. When one person attempts to punch the other, press the assign button at the right time to stop the attack. Press L1 when the assailant is on the left, and R1 when the assailant is on the right. Another case settled. Edo is infamous for its quick-tempered residents. I'm glad nothing bad happened. Aw, they're making up. Sorry, do you mind if I ask you a question? Huh? What could you want from us? Wait, that guy there, he's a master. Get him before he calls his servant. Don't just stand there, find us in your guildsman. You just on you, my servants, here. Oh, they're all like tough. Very parody aesthetic? Yeah, they've kind of got the, I want to say like European, like, sailor kind of look going on. They're Dutch. That may or may not count as a spoiler, actually. Oh well. Enjoy being dead, nerd. This jump ain't bad. What's with this shrimp? A servant, retreat. All hands fall back. Man, they got away. Ah, they sure went fast. They said something about Yoshiwara. Could they be after Dayu and my master? In any case, we're going to capture them and have them tell us what they're up to. Just don't go killing anyone. Yeah, I can use finesse when I have to. Leave it to me. We're getting close to a second thing filled in, I think. You're right, there they are. Look at the way if we don't hurry. Hold on, Saber. We still need to settle things with the spirit font here. Are you talking about disconnecting from the ley line? We're in the middle of a chase. I hate to lose the spirit font's magical energy, but look, the path from Asakusa is exposed. If we keep moving forward, the stronghold might also come under attack. That's true. We should listen to him. Not bad at all. It's too late. We're getting away. After them. Crimson light piercing the earth. A digression has become available. I know that there's like a big story thing going on, but like a digression. What's wrong, Saber? Where are you going all of a sudden? There's a strange presence. I don't believe it to be a monster, but with me, Iori, we must follow it. It's like, alright. Moving in secret. Oh no, is this a stealth thing? Saber, wait. Shush. I see. I suppose our concern is the rogue that was summoning Yoshiwara. Whatever the case, you did well to find out this much. Be sure to let my brother know. Yes, my lord. The rogue heroic spirit? Are they somehow connected to the ritual? The one summoning Yoshiwara is likely that berserker. I certainly cannot condone eavesdropping. I sense Saber and that master. I had no intention of fighting them here, and yet this could be the perfect opportunity to test their strength. Well then, they seem ready to do battle. What do we do? We have no choice but to confront them. Let's go, Saber. Let us begin our preliminary tests. Destroy them. Are those Kudakitsune? Yes, they are. I don't know if I have the strength to do this. I don't want to. Aw, thank you for the head pats. It's fine, I'm just head patting them with swords is all. And he's dead. Oh, she's pretty. She looks kind of like a fish, though. Still very pretty, though. Would that be a Fosh or a Fix? If you were to make a portmanteau? I think that'd be a Fox. Or maybe a Fish. That should suffice. It seems they're stronger than I expected. I must inform my brother of this. They ran away. I still had questions for them. What were those strange spells that they were using? Shikigami. Likely Onmyodo. Based on their appearance, they must have been Onmyoji. Onmyoji. Mages who have divined the future and held rituals in Japan since antiquity. Their Onmyodo is a form of magecraft based on ideologies from the mainland. But they now hold little of the influence they once wielded during the Heian era. That's what I've heard anyway. You seem awfully well informed. Here's just something that I heard from Red. Are you not familiar with them, Saber? No, but I understand well enough. However many mages may gather, they pose no threat. Perhaps not to you, but a crowd of experienced mages is still somewhat of a trouble. It might be good to follow them and see how they're related to the ritual, but now isn't the time. We have other things to attend to. Lose sight of our true goal and we'll end up accomplishing nothing. You're right. Let's hurry on then. We may well cross paths with him again. I must be prepared. I like how Saber is scolding us for like getting distracted when this aggression was kind of Saber's fault. Oh well. This is fine. We need to catch at least one of them. They're in the area. Let's go. How did I use that to lyric site thing? Like this, yes. You visited San Gitatsuman. They're tracking us. Let's split up here. Stop. This is as far as you go. You sure are stubborn. Don't you think that it's time to give up? Chasing you around will only tire us all out. Who do you think you are? We'll take care of you right here. Yeah, let's take them out. Is this what they mean by the smaller the dog, the bigger the bark? Who are you calling a small dog? You see anybody else around here? Now you've done it. Shut your trap. You, oh no. I'm in danger. I'm in a lot of danger. What's with all the yelling? Can't you take your fight somewhere else? Who are you? Who am I? Good question. I guess I'm the watchdog of this place. Well, I should say that I owe the mage who claims this place. If you won't leave, then I'll have to get to work. Wait, no, he's a rogue. I can make him an ally. This is fine, actually. A rogue servant? You think so? If you're fond of breathing, then clear out of here. Ugh. Here he comes. Brace yourself, Iori. A new servant? Don't we have any information on this one? Spread out. We must bring back some information. Hey, wait, I won't let you get away. You're the ones who won't be getting away. I think there must be a misunderstanding. We're not with them. If anything, they're our enemies. They seem to be working for another master. That's so? Well, I honestly couldn't care less. I haven't gotten much exercise recently. You're gonna help me get back in shape. What incredible magical energy. Iori, let me. I will fight as well. If I miss this, I'd surely regret it. Is that so? Well, at least try and stay out of my way. Snarling hound. You know, that's Kukulin Lancer. I must pursue not Lubu. Now this is Kukulin, not Lubu. Extremely different. Please got the good day. I get to fight 3 servants and their masters. Okay, that's interesting, because between us and the other person, that would only be 2 normally. Yeah, I don't think wind is very good for servants. Oh, you must pursue not Lulu, gotcha. Well, that was rude. You gotta step back right away. Not bad at all. Even as a mere mortal, you're holding your own as your servant's sidekick. Saber, protect me. This is fine. Except for that part. Kind of not. It's okay though. I'm hungry. Is swimming again? Nice. I like the snow. Like, it does cause problems, but I like snow. Yeah, I'm an Arctic fox. And fluffy, I can endure this now. I like how Iori got the kill. Huh, not bad. Typing face first into it, yeah, it's called a mousing jump. It's actually, like, one of the most optimized hunting techniques on the planet, believe it or not. Huh, not bad. You're not so bad yourself, Rogue Lancer. You wield your weapon well. He's incredibly skilled. Rogues are supposed to have limited power, but it feels like he could kill me with one shot whenever he felt like it. That's because he could. Kukulin's kind of busted. Watch closely, Iori. This is what somebody with true strength looks like. You're pretty hard on your master there, servant. The man's a fine warrior in his own right. You should be proud of yourself. I might be hobbled by this rogue's body, but you're holding your own. Even with the rogue's strength, he's just as remarkable as the big man in Yoshiwara. He is. To be honest, I underestimated you. I figured it'd be cool enough to stumble onto somebody else's land wouldn't be worth it. I am sorry about that. Same here. That was rude of us. Yeah, fine. Looks like you're in a bit of a pickle yourselves. Anyways, I'm glad I got to fight you. I haven't had a real fight since I materialized. My whole body feels so stiff. But you two really bring the pain. Do we now? You're an interesting one, Lancer. To be honest, I still got a little fight left in me. Oh? This might not be the best time to ask, but what do you say to one more round? He's like a completely different person from just a moment ago. Of course, you don't have to do it for nothing. Let's see. If you win, I'll tell you my true name. How about that? Not only that, but I'll help you with the ritual in any way that I can. But if we lose, you tell me your true name. Not a bad deal. Unfortunately, it's not my decision alone. What do you think, Yori? Fine, we agree to your terms. The assistance of a powerful heroic spirit is the best we can ask for in this ritual. We would be happy to have you. You're acting like you've already won. Now we're having fun. Let's get right to it. Unless, well, a master's only flesh and blood, so we'll wait until you get your strength back. Are you sure? There is one thing. See, I've got way too much time to kill. Why don't I help you out until you're fully prepared for a fight? Help us until we can fight you, huh? Yeah, you continue to impress. I don't mind, but what do you get out of this? I told you, didn't I? My body's too stiff. I need a good stretch. I see. We appreciate the help, Rogue Lancer. We'll call on you when we need you. But for now, we have to hurry along. Right. Sorry to keep you for so long. I'll see you again. Yori. I'm Miyamoto Yori. Yori. I'll be sure to remember it. We're very close to that ring. Your bond with Rogue Lancer has grown stronger. They can now join you in battle. We lost them. Let's head south to the shore and search Shinagawa. I think Zhang said that he would look around Todoroki. Seems like a waste to do the same. No digressions. Well, we followed them all the way to Shinagawa. Could they really have come here? I don't know, but they are sailors and there is a port here. A modern port? I can't wait to see what it's like. Definitely more evidence that Saber gets excited by ships. Also, I should probably be looking at these. Making shells does seem kind of important. Chance to auto-evade, not bad. Also, skills. Still need to defeat 2 more monsters in wind stance before we can go there. Pardon me. Is that a cherry tree? Yeah, that's right. The cherry blossom is still as beautiful today as it was long ago. Pet puppy, very important. Okay, I don't know who the person would be, but I'm kind of thinking of Saber as probably like a person who originally came from China and like settled Japan. Like one of the very, very first people to like set foot on the shore, kind of deal. I don't know who that would be, but I think that might be what Saber is. You two look like you're not sure what to order here. Feel free to ask me anything. This food stall enthusiast won't lead you wrong. You should definitely try the Yamazaki here. This food stall serves the best. Even though it's still this sweet, it's still good for you. What a perfect beverage. I might even have another 2 or 3 glasses for the health benefit. Cool, but who asked? These aren't monsters. Poor water stands just being completely neglected. You like how I had to regen buff as if it was a straight heal? It is a straight heal. Is he heal over time? Nuh-uh. And he's dead. Were you the question Fox Wisdom? No, like, I guarantee you, if you're not in a fight, it's a straight up heal. If you're in a fight, it's a heal over time. Oh, Saber's playing with the puppy. Like... Yeah, see? Amber Glow. Gradually restores HP, restores it instantly if you're in town exploration mode. A new wind is blowing. The markets are bustling with all this foreign business. It's so lively here. The port is up ahead. So many inns. I suppose that's why they call it the Inn Town. Yes, these are called Shinagawa Inns. Where did you hear about it, Saber? Not everything is completely new to me. Now, into the port. I mostly just came here for the puppy. I also want to do this fight. Especially if monsters are involved. Looks like just thugs. I guess monsters are probably more likely to be a thing when it's nighttime. And he's dead. Shinagawa Harbor. Enduring Spider Lily. Not for much longer, though. Oh, wait. Heading cat, very important. On the one hand, I do kind of wish that this went faster. On the other hand, it's very nice to pet them. Yes, what do you want? I'll need to see your permit if you want to pass. We need permits. We just want to take a look around. Sorry, security's gotten tighter these past couple days. There's foreigners around, so the authorities want to stop any trouble from brewing. Foreigners? This could be the place. We'll need permits then. Where can we get them? The headman of the port, of course. He represents the merchants who work here. He can be a bit hard to deal with, so you may have your work cut out for you. The port headman, then. Let's go have a chat with him. You know, you say that I'm missing Chinese, but I don't think I am. Are you the headman? We were hoping that you could supply us with permits. Well, straight to business it is. Haha, I like your nerve. You seem like nice folks, but I can't just give them out. I don't even know who you are. I'll need you to show me a letter of endorsement written by a person of authority. Dayu. Or at least that would normally be the case, but all I really need to see is if I can trust you. That seems reasonable enough. I'm the headman of a port. It's my job to be reasonable. Tell you what, if you have a problem of mine, you can have the permits. How's that grab you? A problem of yours, you say? We'll gladly take it on. Excellent. I'd like you to pick some herbs for me on Godanyama, and I need them today. The plants here won't do. Special orders for the daimyo must come from Godanyama. But, sir, didn't the bridge collapse? Now, no need to worry about that. Our friends are smart enough to figure it out. He seems like a temperamental fellow. Ah, right, just to let you know. There are rumors that spirits have appeared on Godanyama. Not many people go there now. Well, now that actually sounds perfect. I have been looking for some spirits to chop up, after all. Could we... No, Iori wouldn't. What are you mumbling about, Saber? If he says no, he says no. Alright. We're crossing over here, Iori. You mean we're jumping over? Just jump. Leave the rest to me. I guess Saber's gonna let us walk on water. I wanted to grab that thing, though. Well, alrighty then. You learned the following Link Strike and the corresponding affinity technique, Savage Downpour. How about that? Impressive. Heroic spirits sure are something. I do enjoy the potato sack lift. Vortex Slash. Alright. There's the kitty over here. Oh, monsters. Excellent. We'll just charge that spirit bomb. It definitely feels a little bit weird to be stabbing with a katana. But if it works, it works. Now that I think about it, did that hitman hire us just to hunt these monsters for him? Yeah, probably. Alright. Attacks and when stands to use magical energy can also deplete shell gauges. That's very worth having. Oh. Better healing spell, we take those. It's twice as expansive, but it's also just better. Extends the time of buffs. Decreases the number of gems consumed by restoration spells. That'll be really good, especially having just gotten this. Have a chance to make enemies drop their guard. Increases max magical energy. Powerful Link Strike. I just need to find one more thing. Set enemies on fire. Need to cast a lot more fire spells for that. Light coals. Chance that gems won't be consumed, but I have to craft gems to make that happen. Spells fulfill the affinity gauge. Nice. Alright, there's some really nice stuff here. I have to remember to carve a couple of wind statues to get through that central node. Oh wow, that cut the healing spell cost in half. Alright. That was very worth picking up. You know, I will happily take a half-cost path heal. And he's dead. Yeah, I will say, oh, one-eyed Oni. I was gonna say, I still wouldn't describe myself as like a fan of Musou, but like, this game is definitely much less of a tedious slog than the last Musou I played. Also, for clarification, the last moveset that I played was Persona 5 Strikers. That game was such a ridiculously boring slog, I'm sorry. I don't dislike Persona 5, I dislike Persona 5 Strikers. I did it! That thing was pretty big. Did it also appear because of the ritual? I was getting sick of those pushovers. That was just what I needed. Oh, hello. You visited Gotanyama? Say we're doing the servant lockpick trick. Oh, thing. Give thing. This should be enough. Let's head back. Back already? Have you given up like everybody else? Given up? What do you mean? You think you're already done? Of course, we got what you wanted from Gotanyama. But what about the river? We crossed it. The mountain? We climbed it. Now this is a surprise. I definitely didn't expect this. We simply did what you asked. What's surprising about that? But what I asked was completely unreasonable. It shouldn't have been possible. The merchants of Edo are so quick to throw money at a problem until it goes away. I never thought you'd actually go out and do it. You outsmarted me. Take your permit. First that girl, and now you. Some people sure are willing to put up with a lot. Huh? What are you talking? Yuri, got the permits to the harbor. Right. Probably outsmarting in the sense that he was trying to just make us go away. Yes, yes, what do you want? I'll need to see. Oh, it's you. You're back. Here's my vermin. What? How'd you get your hands on this? Yeah, I'm curious, but I suppose I have a job to do. You may go through. Excellent. Let's go, Yori. Right, but try not to draw too much attention. Oh, I see a kitty. The port! Wow, it's incredible! Not again. Yori, why do those stairs go to the water? Is there something down there? And what is that little tower? How can one watch the sea if they can't get inside? The stairs allow ships to be unloaded regardless of the tide, and that's a beacon. What are these people doing? That fire will burn a hole in their ship. They're only scorching it. If they don't remove the seaweed and barnacles from the hull, the wood will rot. The ships of this age sure are strange. You think? Yuri, look at that giant ship. Wait, is that a ship? What is it this time? Could that be one of those Western ships? It's armed with cannons. I can't believe that they would allow it so close to Edo Castle. What's going on? You two samurai there. Is this your first time seeing a galleon? Oh, she looks like a main character. And you are the owner of that ship. I'm a merchant from Holland. Oh, she's got sane eyes. I'm not really supposed to dock here, but I have special permission from the shogunate for some special trade. Galleon Holland. Huh. Is it really so novel? Well, feel free to look as much as you'd like. I apologize, my friend here has never visited a port before. Born and raised deep in the mountains, everything is new and strange, you see. What do you mean by that? I'm not. Play along. We were invited to look as much as we like. One shouldn't slight such generosity. Yeah. You obviously come from across the sea, but your Japanese is very fluent. When in Rome, as they say. I believe you have a similar saying in your language. When trading in a foreign country, familiarity with the language is vital. Know thy enemy, as expected of an international merchant, an admirable outlook. You admire Sun Tzu? You are the very image of a samurai. I'm surprised you've heard of Sun Tzu. Knowledge is power. Those of noble birth are expected to know these things. Princess, the time for our meeting approaches. Oh, already? More's the pity. I'm sorry, but you heard the man. And you? I thought I told you that I'm not a princess. Address me as milady. My apologies. I'm unfamiliar with foreign traditions. No excuses. Let's practice. Say milady, okay? Milady princess. No, not like that. Milady's already an honorific by itself. I see. Don't you have a meeting? Oh my, this won't do at all. Please excuse me. Your friend still seems quite taken with my ship. Hey, it's time to go. But I want to keep watching. That's enough for today. You're interrupting their meeting. Please excuse us, milady. But of course, may we meet again. Report, please. That saber and master are quite talented. They were cautious of us because we are foreign. Rumors of you may be spreading. We weren't able to reach Yoshiwara after all. Huh, is that so? And how did they appear to you, assassin? Utterly repugnant. And yet I find myself almost pitying them. Huh. Regardless, it seems we'll need them to bow out of the race. The next time they step foot into our territory, that pretty saber's life is forfeit. It seems we took too long after all. Let's return home. Oh, that's... Wow, what an impressive mansion. It's quite different from where you live, Iori. That's an inn where even daimyo stay the night. It's nothing like a house. So it's a kind of lodge then. How much money would you need to stay there? Well, if we saved up 2 or 3 months' pay, one of us could stay a single night. Huh. Then we'll definitely give it a pass. That much money isn't worth a single night. And then we go home. Reminder to witness statues? Yep, I remember. Iori, you spoke with that rogue lancer recently, yes? You seem to be getting along quite well. Oh yeah, that lancer. He really took a liking to Iori. You think? I do. He wouldn't have challenged us to another battle otherwise. Unless you'd forgotten. How could I forget? More importantly, there's something I should tell you. Lancer will apparently be assisting us until we challenge him again. Goodness, you made a promise like that with him? Making such potent allies. Well done, well done. It's not like you forged a real contract though, right? That's true. Our goals just happen to align. Such a simple agreement isn't ideal. If only we had something a little bit stronger. We'd have to ask Lancer himself if we wanted that. Yeah. Well, now that you've made it wrong, there's actually a way. Look here. Rogue servants can join you in battle, absolutely. This should be enough for now. Your bond and agreement are now stronger, if only slightly. I see. Feels like I've done something to Lancer without his permission. Oh no, the other party's well aware. If you were reluctant, you would have been rejected. Then Lancer's accepted the contract? Indeed. He's saying he'll help you out. To a certain extent. Not bad, eh? I'm sorry for doubting you, Gramps. Don't worry yourself, and if there's ever a similar need, just do it like I told you. The bonds you make are to be cherished, including the one with me. Right, I'll remember that. So, what did you find out? You said you were going to go search the south, yes? There have been some developments. You know the Todoroki Fudosan Temple in Setagaya? We found traces of magical activities there. They must be gathering magical energy from the ley line. We followed it south, but in the process of our investigation, we met resistance and suffered some losses. We decided against chasing them further in and turned back. That's about all of my news. So, an enemy master is based at Todoroki Fudosan, and their stronghold is somewhere to the south. Do you have any idea what they were doing with the magical energy from the ley line? It's reasonable to assume that they were attempting to strengthen their servant. Or perhaps they were using it to maintain a bounded field? There is something south of Todoroki Fudosan. Shall we split up and look further south? Right. Let's hope this leads to the enemy stronghold. Now it's your turn. Certainly all your efforts were not for naught. We heard rumors about foreigners knowing about Yoshiwara. Yoshiwara, eh? I've heard Berserker is based there. That's right, we're in touch with that area's master. I'll head there tomorrow. There's one more thing I should tell you. At Shinagawa Port... What happened? It's... Zeng? I can't make out what he's saying. And he's dead. There's a disturbance in the magical energy. It's not a problem with the Mystic Code, is it? You said it was passed out from a famous monk. I doubt it would break so easily. Then it's obvious. Somebody's interfering. Prepare yourself, Iori. The enemy approaches. Terrible timing as usual. We should check our surroundings. Hopefully I can wrap this up before too much time passes. Yes, we are coming up on the end of stream. And by coming up, I mean we're a little bit over time already. just gonna get to like a nice, decent break point. And he's dead. Oh, 2 Oni. Alright. This energy. Yep, they're definitely the ones who interfere for your conversation. Lord Yori, why not see if that rogue will follow through on the agreement? Alright, let's get this. Rogue Lancer is now accompanying you. Rogue servants you share a deep bond with can be summoned to accompany you in battle. Just like Saber, rogue servants will use the affinity techniques and other powerful attacks when summoned in battle. You can switch control when the substitution gauge is full. When you share a deep bond with multiple rogue servants, you may change which one will accompany you at your house. That's just gonna be Arya. Okay, I can choose which one I want. Do they pull from the same affinity gauge? Looks like they do. Rogue Lancer is actually one of the strongest allies because one of his combos is infinite. Nice. But he's not Arya. And they're dead. Is that all of the monsters? Ugh, it's like they know when we're in a hurry. It'd be over in a flash if I used my double phantasm. No. Yeah. It's getting late. We should hurry home. We still need to contact Shing, too. Right, back we go. Oh, there we go. Torrent. Interesting. I'll deal with that later. So many cutscenes. I couldn't eat another bite. Yet another delicious breakfast. You sure pack it away. Yeah. So, you want to speak with Shang? I still couldn't connect this morning. It could be the lingering monster energy. Huh. But I'm not a Solpo. Well, we have business to attend to. Yoshibara, we must tell Musashi and Takao of that villain. Right, let's take care of that first. Yeah. Alright, some important last-second things. First of all, can I switch Lancer for, Arya? No, I cannot. Regrettable. Second, I should carve those wind statues before I forget. I said carve those wind statues. Majestic is the king. He needs pine, not linden. Higher quality wood. Masterpiece Kanzeon statue. I mentioned knowing why during sword meetings to put the cloth in the mouth? Yes. Yes, I do. A couple of Kanzeons. Nice. Anyway, we're gonna call it there for the night. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it each and every time. Next scheduled stream is going to be on Sunday. It's going to be a multi-world randomizer between Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Thank you so much for the headpats and the hydration. Next time I'm playing this game in particular is going to be on Monday. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful night, and I hope to see you again. Good night.